Good afternoon. This is Rich Nass, Executive Vice President with Open Systems Media, and I'm here for this week's segment of 5 Minutes With. This week, I will be spending 5 minutes with Mark Lippett, who is the President and the CEO of XMOS. Good afternoon, Mark. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm well. Thank you very much for having me.
Good. It is my pleasure. So we only have 5 minutes, so let's get right into this. XMOS, as most people know, is deeply involved in the audio industry. Let's go over what some of the big achievements have been in that space, because I'm not sure that people really realize, that there have been a lot of advancements in audio. It's not something you could physically see like you can in video and in other places. What would you number as the top 2 or 3 big achievements in the audio space in the last couple of years?
Yeah, sure. There has been, as you suggest, there's been a number of achievements that we could talk about. Video tends to be the sort of higher profile and has, at least in the past, had a higher profile in terms of its advancements. But at the same time, there's been plenty of things going on in the audio industry that have changed, our day-to-day lives and certainly given us a number of different experiences, and they're poised to change quite dramatically, I think, over the next 5 or 10 years as well. Just to put some more detail on those, I think one of the things that's really changed the music industry that was delivered by the audio players is the accessibility of higher quality recording and music playback experiences. Any number of artists that are mainstream acts nowadays have used equipment that's been bought on the high street for $200 or $300. They've used that equipment in their bedrooms and their garages, and they've recorded whole albums on them or recorded tracks that they've published through social media. And that whole sort of democratization of the music industry has been driven by developments both in terms of algorithms, in terms of encodings, but also developments by companies making what we call prosumer audio equipment with very, very easy to use software, using host machines that are now very capable and frequently also specifically capable of doing audio. And in combination, they're able to deliver what would previously have been a very expensive piece of recorded media for less than $1,000. So I think that's one of the things. So if I could interrupt
you there for 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, so if we're going from this very high-end equipment to, it's still very high-end equipment, but the costs are coming down so much, somebody's making a lot less money today than they were a few years ago. Is that fair?
I don't know if that's true, actually. I think what we've lacked perhaps on the headline price of some of this equipment has been made up by volume. I think certainly the industry has probably had to learn some new tricks. They've had to behave rather more like a consumer type of company than a sort of professional audio company, and consequently the selling price of some of the equipment has dropped dramatically. But it's certainly been made up on volume. I think music recording has become a hobby to many people, probably tens, maybe even hundreds of times more people than would have been active in that space 10 or 20 years ago. So actually, I think the overall impact is the market has got larger, but as you suggest, its dynamic has changed quite dramatically. I think the equipment itself is shipping in higher volumes, but for smaller sums of money. So it's probably just a different type, different sort of size and shape than the industry of 10 or 20 years ago. But I think in terms of fostering creativity among artists, it's very, very vibrant.
And you alluded to some things on the horizon in the next couple of years that will, again, cause a shift. What might that be?
Yeah, and this is actually nothing to do with music directly. The thing that we are observing, and XMOS has been in the audio space for a number of years, and we built a reputation for delivering this kind of multi-channel prosumer type audio experience. We observed a year or so ago that our customers were starting to use our technology for voice interfaces, and this isn't for the recording of voice in a musical context. This is for the capturing of voice as a human-machine interface, and I think that is that really defines the future of audio technology in the highest possible volume. The audio technology that we've been used to having in, as a playback technology, if you will, in perhaps one or two pieces of equipment in our homes, is going to become the prevalent user interface for all manner of equipment. So anything that you talk about in the context of the IoT, it could have a bidirectional audio interface that is there to enable you to converse with that machine and control it. So I think that's going to mark a massive difference in the deployment and the requirements upon those companies that are involved in that value chain. This is a class of customer that is shipping enormous volumes compared to the audio space, but is comparatively ignorant of the challenges of integrating audio systems alongside something that might be intrinsically making a lot of noise itself, for example. Something like a washing machine or a dishwasher might have a voice interface on it that requires high integrity voice capture, requires the playback of responses either from that piece of equipment or from the cloud, but also requires to cancel perhaps a relatively high amount of local noise. So there's a whole bunch of new challenges there, but I think the opportunity for those of us that are based in the audio industry with expertise in that area is that, it's a bunch of interesting challenges, but also the opportunity to sell a tremendous amount more equipment into that space is very compelling.
That sounds extremely exciting. But I'm afraid we've used up our 5 minutes, so
really?
we'll have to continue this on another day.
That felt like 30 seconds.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? That was Mark Lippett. He is the president and CEO of XMOS, and I am Rich Nass with Open Systems Media, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.